What is up, guys? This is Chad with Living the Van Life up here in Washington. Today's video is going to be all about LED light bars. Now, LED light bar is something that I've had on my van for a number of years, and it's probably one of my most favorite and one of my most useful accessories on the van when it comes to getting off the grid into the backcountry. I've talked about it in a lot of other videos, it's made appearances in other videos, and I'm always getting more people asking for more information on the light bar, so that's what today's video is going to be all about. Flip it on, flip it off, and flip it on. Unfortunately, I made the mistake of going through a car wash and the big tumbler brush that comes through ripped the threads out of my light bar, and so now it's time to put a new one on, and I figured I'd take this opportunity to go ahead and talk to you guys more about it, show you how I hook it up here on my Vanagon. The LED light bars have been in the game for, maybe a decade or so, maybe a little bit less. When they first came out, they were super cool, and the leading brands were super expensive. I remember some light bars looking at like upwards of $1,500. At that rate, there was certainly no way I was going to be able to get into something like that on my van budget. Now, if I was serious into Baja racing or desert racing, and I needed something very reliable with a trusted name brand behind it, okay, sure, I'd be willing to go with the $1,500 one. But as technology advances and more people get into the game, then that price comes down. Now, getting on eBay, Amazon, stuff like that, you can find them anywhere from $100 to $150. Shoot, there's even some that you find down around $75 to $80. You know what? If I can get a few years use out of a $100 to $150 one, then you know what? I am perfectly happy with that. So my particular LED light bar I ordered on Amazon. A lot of people shop on there, so 9 times out of 10, if you can find something that has a lot of good reviews, then at least you have some feedback from others that have used the product ahead of you. My 52-inch light bar came from Amazon, packed in a box like this. Today we're gonna dig into this thing and see what it looks like coming out of the box. So here it is. This is the Nightlight 52-inch curved light bar. Now on Amazon, they are claiming this is a 783 watt light bar, which, if that's true, that is pretty impressive. That's what they're claiming, and I know that that's not necessarily 100% true all the time, but on Amazon it does have over 1,000 reviews and still a 4.5 star rating, which I would say after 1,000 reviews, that's pretty darn good. For this light bar, I paid $121, and that is with free shipping, Amazon Prime, right to your front door. The build of it, it's lightweight. It's actually built out of aluminum alloy. The few light bars that I've seen of these, they all appear to have just about the same build. So to be honest with you, I wouldn't be surprised if they actually came out of the same factory and different brands put their name on it. This particular one is a 3-row LED, which means it's got 3 rows of LEDs across here. Up here in the corners, it does have a little bit different style reflector, and what this does is this actually makes it a combo. So down the middle with these ones, you have what you consider the spot. Over here on the edge, you've got more of the fog beam LED, which helps broadcast a wider beam off to the side, which could be kind of nice for driving down the long dirt roads. They are claiming that this bad boy has a whopping 78,000 lumens. Again, that's just their description on Amazon, so who knows how true that actually is. Nonetheless, good ratings, good feedback from people that have used it. For $120, it's kind of hard to go wrong. Even if it lasts a year or two, you're still ahead of the game in my eyes. It also does come with this baggie of hardware, which includes some mounting brackets, some rubber pads, a few nuts and bolts, and an Allen key tool. Now I know I'm probably going to get a lot of questions of how this is actually wired up into my Vanagon. And you can see here on my existing light bar, I actually ran the wire down. It tucks nicely in between the door jamb here, and then I was able to drill a small hole big enough to fit a grommet and a wire right up here in the top corner of the body. From there, I fished the wire down through this column. In the Vanagons, there's actually a hole behind the dash, and you can fish it through, and that wire will be accessible behind the dash. Now, my theory behind wiring the LED light bar up is I wanted it to trigger on and off with a high beam. However, if I was driving in town and wanted to use my high beams, I didn't want my LED light to be on. So I did wire in a cutoff switch. So now, essentially, if I'm out on the open country, I can hit my LED light bar switch, and then it's triggered on and off with the high beams. And then from there, if I'm back in the city, I can hit that cutoff switch, and then I can use my high beams with no LED light bar. On this first initial install that I did a few years ago, my light bar is actually hardwired in to my electrical system behind my dash. So for today's install, I'm going to change that up a little bit, and I'm going to actually install an accessory plug in line right here, so that if I ever want to remove the light bar for any reason, like going into a car wash, then I can simply unplug it, undo 2 bolts, and then that light bar will come off. Now, when it comes to mounting your light bar, depending on what particular vehicle you've got, you're gonna have to make that determination on how you want to mount it. In my particular situation, I've got my 1991 Volkswagen Westfalia, so what I'm gonna talk about today is gonna apply to any Vanagon-based Volkswagen van. Now, when it comes to installing an LED light bar on a Volkswagen Vanagon, Dave over at Vanagonlife down in Salem, Oregon, actually developed a really cool mount that mounts nicely to the gutters of any Volkswagen Vanagon. It's simple, it installs nicely, it adjusts easily, and it just simply works. Great thing about gutter mount is the fact that it's adjustable forward and backwards, and you're not having to drill holes into the body of your vehicle. With that being said, let's get to setting this thing up on the front of the van. Okay, so these are the Vanagonlife brackets. Powder coated, laser cut, all bent to shape to fit a 52-inch light bar right to the gutter of your Volkswagen Vanagon. So I'm going to start with just loosely installing the brackets here on the gutter. I'm not going to get them too tight at this point. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to wire in the plug here so that I have the option of being able to plug and unplug. This is the style of plug that I'm going to wire in line on the wire that leads to my LED light bar. So for a plug like this that is exposed to the elements, rain, wind, snow, you're driving, rain's beating into the plug, I wanted to add some dielectric grease that does a couple things. It keeps out corrosion, and it also, in a way, kind of waterproofs the plug as well. So here you can see the Vanagonlife mounts. They fit nicely right here on the gutter of any Vanagon, and like I said, they fit a 10 top or even the Westfalia. It's made to go around the front of it. It sits nicely here on the gutter. The fact that you don't have to drill into the actual body of your van It's a nice mount, it looks good, and it performs well. Alright, so at this point, this is where it comes up to you as an individual of how you want to actually place your light bar. A couple things from my past experience on performance as far as visibility is how far you have this placed forward. Now, the farther forward you have this, you're actually getting the reflection off of the windshield and out ahead of you. When it's placed all the way back, which probably looks better, then you end up getting a reflection onto the windshield, especially when you're in dusty conditions. That is the nice thing about the gutter mounted Vanagonlife brackets, is the fact that you can adjust it right here on the gutter. Now, one of the things with these light bars, especially on the Vanagon with the wind coming up the windshield, placement of this light bar is going to affect wind noise. Now, you can get all sorts of crazy things going on with wind noise and vibrations. And a lot of what it takes is a little bit of experimental engineering of moving this thing forward or backwards to where it reduces the wind noise. Dave at Vanagonlife has actually come up with a way to combat the whistling sound that comes from the cooling fins. And he derived a way of being able to take the body edge trim. You can buy it at any auto parts store. In fact, I'll include a link to that in my description below. But then you run strips of that along one or even two of the cooling fins all the way across. And the whole concept is just to interrupt that airflow over those air fins. And it takes a little bit of experimenting, but you have good luck at it. It takes a little bit of time. Well, and that about wraps up the installation of a light bar onto a Volkswagen Westfalia, all made possible by inexpensive light bars found on Amazon and eBay, as well as Vanagonlife's ingenious design of a bracket that fits well on any sort of Vanagon without having to drill into the body. So here we are out in some open country and gonna do a little bit of light test for you. Now, what I've done is I've set the camera to a manual setting, therefore it's not compensating for the extra light or the lack of light. So you can truly see the difference between just the regular headlights and then when you flip on this 783 watt LED light bar. If you guys like this video, make sure and hit the like button, leave a comment down below. If you're new to the channel, make sure and hit the subscribe button, hit the bell next to the subscribe button. That's going to notify you anytime videos like this are uploaded. Guys, thank you so much for being part of the channel. Peace out. Keep on trucking.